So yeah, 260, UFC 260 coming up on March 27th. Stipe Miocic just putting the heavyweight title on the line against Francis Ngannou.
Whew.
And then a fight that's not being talked about as much as it should is Volkanovski against Brian Ortega. I think that's a pretty interesting one for the featherweight belt. But let's talk about Stipe. Let's focus on Stipe for this before we end it. The Stipe Ngannou fight. I gotta say, as much as I love Stipe Miocic, and as much as I respect him and everything he's done in his time, I think Francis is gonna destroy him. I think the Francis that fought Stipe the first time has gotten exponentially better. Like 2.5x times better. Like he's on another level, and I think that Stipe fought well against Cormier, but if Stipe comes into this fight thinking that he's going to have that slower pace type fight that he did against Cormier, he's going to get knocked out, I think, because we've heard Stipe complaining about the eye. We've even heard him talk about possibly retiring at some point. This is a guy who has a full-time job outside of the UFC. I feel like he's done everything that he wants to do in this sport. So all the respect to Stipe, but I think that Francis Ngannou is going to make short work of him. And I think that minus 140 on Ngannou is a pretty good price. And I think that I see that the under is lined at like 2.5 rounds. I see that has some good value at it too, because to be honest, and I'm super interested to hear what you have to say about this, I just don't think that Stipe is the same fighter that we think he was. And I don't think he was that great against Cormier. Like, that fight was okay, but like, if he thinks that he's gonna pummel against the cage with Francis Ngannou, that's not going to work. Like, and Francis Ngannou is the type of guy that every time that we've seen him, he's gotten better. And like, we saw 11 seconds against Rosenstruck, and that he even said it himself, like he wished that he got to fight longer. But I can't envision Stipe winning this fight unless he just somehow squeaks out a decision. That's the only path to victory I think that I see. What do you think about this?
Oh man, dude, this fight, I mean, realistically, I don't see this fight being different than the first fight from a game plan, from a stylistic standpoint. I don't think Francis Ngannou's really grown much stylistically. I don't think this guy is going to have rock solid takedown defense. I don't think he's a better wrestler. I'm sure he's slightly improved in a lot of these areas that were exposed in the first fight. It's just any fight involving Francis Ngannou, I don't know how you can have any confidence. The guy's either going to go in there and knock someone's head off very early and make it look like he completely is just on another level and an unstoppable freak of a human being, or someone's going to go in there and do what Stipe did the first time. It's the bull versus the matador. Can you avoid that ferocity? Can you avoid that touch of death? Because if you can, and you can drag this fight into a second, into a third round, the danger level decreases of Ngannou, and I mean, it's like, Stipe fought a very, very good fight the first fight. He honestly ate some very hard shots and, never really got rocked, never really, went down, ate them and, survived and went on to win the fight, and with a very good game plan, doing what he needed to do. But at the same time, to be able to go out there and do it again for 25 minutes to avoid that touch of death. I mean, Ngannou consistently beats guys that are more technical than him, that are more polished, that are more experienced, right? Alistair Overeem Jairzinho Rosenstruck. It just doesn't matter how sloppy, how bad, how lack of technique Francis Ngannou is. If he just lands that shot, none of that matters. I think of the flurry he threw on Jairzinho Rosenstruck to end that fight. I mean, it's the most amateurish, freakish video game, a dude just running forward, winging shots I've ever seen. But sure enough, he whiffs 1, 2, 3. Number 4 clips that chin. Jairzinho loses consciousness instantly. I mean, and that's the thing. It's the Ngannou factor. It's that, it's chaos mode enacted, right? He either is going to do that or that kind of goes out the window as he gets tired and hasn't found the shot. It's just a matter of when that point comes, right? And it just makes things incredibly hard to read. Something tells me as I stand right now today, pre-research, just initial lean,
right?
Something tells me that for Stipe to be able to survive 10 rounds against Francis Ngannou, it feels like he kind of came out of that first fight, it's kind of skated through, did eat some shots, but just did enough and took over, got the solid win. I feel like Francis might catch him this time. I mean, it's just I don't really have like a technical analysis, like I said, because I think Stipe is the more polished, the quote unquote better fighter, the more skilled fighter. But that just goes out the window with a guy like Francis Ngannou with that freakish power where it just takes one shot. And I think I lean right now towards the Ngannou side. I think that, the likelihood of Francis Ngannou going his whole career without being the UFC champion, it seems unlikely to me, and I think I lean Ngannou ever so slightly, but not a high confidence spot, and I definitely one that I could change my mind on as we approach that day. What did you say? What was the co-main event on that one, Al?
Alexander Volkanovski against Brian Ortega for the featherweight belt, which is
my goodness, Al. Volkanovski showed us he's the real deal with those 2 wins over Max Holloway. I mean, look what Max Holloway did in his last fight, and Alexander Volkanovski, kind of shut that down and kind of did to Max Holloway what Max Holloway did to Calvin Kattar, albeit not as drastic and not quite the beatdown, but from a statistical standpoint, in retrospect, to be able to outpace and outstrike a guy like Max Holloway, it seems insane, but yet he did it both fights, right? And then Brian Ortega, the dude looked so phenomenal in his last fight, took the time off, really sharpened up the striking, just looked great, looked to be a totally revitalized, totally changed man. Was pretty much a jiu-jitsu guy. We'd even seen him lose a lot of fights striking and then, catch a submission late in a fight that he kind of was down on the scorecards. Man, he looks to be so much more well-rounded now. This is a very, very good fight. I think I probably have to lean Volkanovski as it stands right now, but Ortega appears to have ascended, to have elevated his game, and I think we could have a very, very good fight on our hands. What do you think of this one, Al?
Yeah, it's interesting. Volkanovski is lined as the minus 180 favorite with Ortega plus 165 on the other side. I feel like that's like pretty much right where it should be. Like I don't see value on either side based on the betting line. I do see perceived value on the under 4.5 rounds at plus 165. With that being said, the way that I envision this fight, again, like you said, without any like hardcore research put into it, I envision this fight going the distance. But at 165 on the under 4.5, plus 155 on fight goes the distance, no. I think there is some value there, but I can't remember any fight. When was the last time that we saw a featherweight fight end inside the distance? I feel like that hasn't happened in quite a while. Or actually, I think the last time that it happened, I was cage side, and it was when when Holloway beat the shit out of Brian Ortega to the point where they stopped the fight in the 4th round because he couldn't come out of this corner. So I think that was the last time that we saw a featherweight fight not go the distance. But yeah, I feel like Volkanovski. Yeah, I feel like Volkanovski is a. I just don't like that line. Hopefully, people come in on Ortega and we can get some good value on Volkanovski. But the way that it's lined right now, it's lined like pretty much exactly where it should be. So I will say this though. I'm gonna completely switch gears. There is one fight on this card coming up, and I don't want to spill the beans, but there's one of the greatest betting opportunities that I have seen in quite a very long time.
Wow. Okay. You've got my attention.
A man by the name of Tyron Woodley is fighting another man by the name of Vicente Luque. And Vicente Luque is a minus 250 favorite against Tyron Woodley. And I think that there is a ton of value on Vicente Luque at minus 250 because there is no universe in reality where Tyron Woodley wins this fight. It will not happen. Vicente Luque is one of the most unheralded guys in the UFC welterweight division. He is so tough. He will not lose this fight. I promise you. And I'm not someone to ever I don't ever bet big parlays ever, but Vicente Luque is the biggest parlay piece that I've seen in years on this card. And I'm gonna lay the 250 just straight up. And I don't even know. I don't think Vicente Luque even gets a finish here, but I know that Tyron Woodley is a shell of himself, and he's stepping up in competition. Well, he's not stepping up in competition based on his last fight with Colby Covington, but if he comes out like how he did against Covington, Vicente Luque is going to destroy him. And minus 250 is hell of value. And what do you think about that look?
Yeah, I mean, it's Vicente Luque for me. Tyron Woodley's a broken man. Fights exclusively with his back off the cage. The most gun-shy fighter I've ever seen. I'm actually surprised we're seeing him one more time. I think he's totally broken. I think he's totally done. I think Vicente Luque is the pretty clear and obvious play. I'm totally with you.
Cool. Well, yeah, that one. That's my main event as far as gambling on for UFC 260. I just don't see it. I can't envision any reality where Tyron Woodley beats Vicente Luque. I just this will not happen. And I bet you, I see it a little bit on some other sites, but the best line that you can get is Vicente Luque minus 254. And I got Vicente Luque at minus 250 a couple days ago, but it's going up. So bet it now. And I don't even like to say this stuff because I don't want, I want to continue to bet this line until it goes up to there's value on Vicente Luque right up to minus 300 because, like I said, there is no reality where Tyron Woodley wins this fight. It will not happen. I promise you. I promise you.
You're going real. You got me worried now. You're going real hard on this one, dude. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Yeah, man. I think Luque. Like I said, I'm surprised to see. I'm definitely surprised to see Woodley getting back in there, and I think Vicente Luque is a pretty solid guy with really good punching power. So. It's going to be Vicente Luque. Al, is there anything left to say before we get out of here and wrap this one up?
No, man. We got UFC 260, and then the whole, beyond the UFC, we're going into Bellator 256 with Bader Machida. We got Anthony Johnson against Yoel Romero. We got ONE FC coming to TNT for North American TV. So as far as MMA betting goes in the next for the next foreseeable future, it's just we are getting we're getting everything that we thought that we should have got last year. You know, last year everything got screwed up. You know, we missed out on so much, but like right now with the way that 2021 is looking, the spring of 2021 is just unbelievable. There's so many cool fights, and I'm just so excited. And look, it doesn't matter that sometimes we say things that are wrong, because either way, if you bet against the things that we say, or that I specifically say, you'll make money. So, you know, if I make these outrageous predictions, it is what it is, man. I like tonight with Izzy, I was really very, very, very confident that Israel Adesanya was going to win that fight. He didn't. I put my money where my mouth was. He lost. But it doesn't matter, because I won on all the other fights, including one of my fighters winning by a freaking illegal knee. And, not to rub it in or anything. And you need to get your money back for that fight. Like, did you get your money back for that fight? Like, did your book grade that?
Al, what fantasy world are you living in? Not a chance, man. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen, dude.
That's ridiculous, man.
I'd be very surprised to check and see that I had my money back. I don't think that's gonna happen, my dude. But who knows? Maybe we'll see. It's crazier things have happened, right? But I think the Petr Yan L stays. But I don't know, dude. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Hey, you're Al Mack. I'm Bleed. What do we have left to say, man? Al, is there anything you want to say before we totally wrap this one up?
No, just thanks for hanging out at 4:30 in the morning with us and shooting the shit here.
Absolutely. Big thank you to everybody in the chat for stopping by. Phenomenal discussion. Thank you guys for being here, for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm Bleed. He's Al Mack. We'll see you at a similar time next week. This cards just never stop around here, Al. It's just card after card after card, and we will be here serving up them recaps every week. We are out of here.